Well, we got one step better, the sports doctor is. Let's bring in David Pedersen from Winnipeg, the sports doctor. Hey, David, what's going on, man? How are things in the Slurpee capital?
Good, good. The moose is loose, I guess you could say, right?
The moose is loose. Are you ready to get down to business, sports doc?
100%.
Okay. Director Jordan, can you hit the quick six show horn and we'll get down to business? As I said, listen, we didn't bring the sports doc here not to talk football, but first, Dave, we do it every day. What's the big story? Our first key point is the big story. Resilience and a bounce-back second-half effort drove Canada's men's basketball team to a huge win at the Olympics on Tuesday. R.J. Barrett had a game-high 24 points. Canada improved to 2-0 in group play, beating Australia 93-83. Meanwhile, a pair of Canadian women have climbed atop the Olympic podium in Paris. Star swimmer Summer McIntosh won the 400-meter individual medley after Krista Deguchi won the under 57-kilogram judo event. Canada also grabbed a men's diving bronze when Nathan Zombor and Rylan Weens, Rylan of Sask, finished third in the 10-meter synchronized platform. So it's going great. And I'll open with you because you're our guest. Are you watching the Olympics? And if so, what are you watching, Doc?
Well, I mean, everybody, I think the whole nation watched women's soccer because of the, not only because the great efforts that the ladies on the field put in, but of course the controversy surrounding it. But, quite frankly, I didn't even realize we had a men's basketball team in it this year. So that was kind of a nice surprise. Like the Summer Olympics really aren't our forte because we're more of a Winter Olympic kind of country. But so far, the results have been so good, and I can't say surprising because we do have top-notch athletes here, but I guess the results are surprising in terms of the medals and the placing and the wins we've got so far.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch, and the only, I guess I pretty much knew that we would have a team in the men's basketball portion because I knew there was a pre-event tournament, so they were playing down in Vegas and so forth, right? So I kind of knew they were on the radar. But you're not alone, Dave, because I was out for a very long run this morning listening to Dan Patrick on whatever channel he's on now on satellite radio, and he was going around asking people, what sports surprised you that there are even in the Olympics? Because there's like break dancing, right? And I think we've always known equestrian, and I love table tennis, but I got to get with it because I haven't seen any table tennis yet. I love that. So before we move to football, because that's why you're here, I was asking the viewers yesterday, do you think the players on the women's soccer team knew that the coach and her staff were cheating and spying? Because I don't think the players would have known. Hank writes in and he says, a secret will only remain a secret when one party to the secret is deceased. So it's my opinion that practically everyone associated with the soccer team knew at least something about the use of drones. I don't agree, but that's his opinion, and you know how inclusive we are here. Did you think the players would have known the skullduggery that their coach was up to?
It's hard to say. I mean, it's one of those ones where you really rely on your coaches and your the authority figures, the people in control to lead you down a good path, and you don't want to assume like that. It's just, we talk about, all the signal stealing that goes on in the National Football League, Canadian Football League. When guys are, covering up, there's signs, there's things, they're deflecting where people are looking. And that's stuff that goes on during the course of a game. But when you get into stuff that's kind of start spying, that's a shady area. And I think that's not the kind of thing that you're going to brag to people that you're doing. So if it was something like, hey, we got their signals, we got a guy up there spotting, we know what they're going to call, I think that goes around the dressing room, the locker room a lot faster than skullduggery, like you said before. So I would be shocked if if any of the ladies knew that this is how they were getting the intel.
Yeah, I would, and that's from a guy that's been in sports my whole life. The players, they don't give him as much credit. But the thing with the cheating, like Belichick did it and was caught. Don Matthews did it and was caught. The Houston Astros, we all know, did it and caught. And none of them had to give up their championships. So I sit back and say, what's the penalty here? They didn't have to give back the World Series. They didn't have to give back those Super Bowls. They haven't had to give back the gold medal. But Ben Johnson did. So, and again, who gets to make the rules? But anyways, moving on, because we got the sports doc's a busy guy, in Winnipeg. So let's get to the more fun stuff. Point two, Canadian quarterback Nathan Rourke is reportedly traveling to Atlanta for a workout with the Falcons in the NFL on Wednesday. The 26-year-old was released by the New York Giants over the weekend after being claimed from New England in May. He cleared waivers Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. The Victoria and Oakville product was the CFL's most outstanding or top Canadian player in 2022 with the BC Lions. So what's your take on the Nathan Rourke? Seems like everybody's got a different one. What's yours on his future, Dave?
Well, I mean, obviously, but not a Canadian. Chris Streveler from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in 2019 left the team and bounced around in the National Football League and had a cup of coffee in a lot of different cities. Nathan Rourke is a different athlete. Nathan Rourke was a little bit younger. Nathan Rourke is very gifted athlete. I don't know. I just don't know what the problem is, because he's a top performer. You would think someone like Nathan Rourke would get on at least a practice roster and stick and develop him along. I don't know what it seems to be a bias against Canadian Football League quarterbacks, notwithstanding the Warren Moons and the Jeff Garcias of the world. So I don't know I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I don't either, Dave, but I'm not sure there's an answer to that question. You and I are around football guys all the time. They're going to want to know what you just said. Why is he not getting a legitimate shot? He's not the first. He's not the first. So I guess my point, by the way, the poll question here is today, do you think Nathan Rourke will ever return to the CFL? 66% saying yes. Now, he's going to do everything he can to hang on down there. And it's interesting you bring up Streveler. Is it all about money, Dave? I think when we get to a certain age, like yours and my generation, it kind of is. Like you look at your bank account, you want something in there. It's not about just playing. And I'd like to know who's made more money in the NFL, Streveler or Rourke. Streveler had his shot, as you know. He started with the Arizona Cardinals. Kind of got screwed over with the Jets, but I'll never forget Reinbold's quote, if you don't want to get screwed around, you're in the wrong business. That just happened, right? So I think that he will return. I think that's why 66% of people are saying, yeah, he'll return. Maybe not this year, maybe not even next year, but he will return. But we all know a lot of Canadians that have gone to the NFL and never played back in the CFL again. Ben Heenan comes to mind for me, first overall pick. Now farming just down the road from where I'm at right here. Every player is different. But we're not all created the same, Dave. I mean, remember that summer of Nathan? Mm-hmm. Was it 2022? Because I feel like it was 2021 where he was filling stadium, bro. He's different. Yeah. He's special.
Like you said, it's a puzzling thing. I know it's very cookie cutter what they look for. And, you go in and even draft picks, like, first round draft picks. Very rarely are they starting right out of college because there's a lot of stuff going on, but it's something that they want to mold. I don't know what it is. Is it a bad habit? Is it just it's hard to say. It's the guy has the tools. Nathan Rourke has the tools and should be. So we'll see what happens in Atlanta. I don't know what the signing bonuses are like for when you scoot around to all the different clubs. You're just basically knocking on doors. It's like an actor in Hollywood trying to go for auditions, and you just keep going, and then someday you could be in a blockbuster. So who knows?
It's interesting you say that because that's a perfect analogy. He's just trying out. He hasn't even signed, and I see the conjecture or whatever's being said out there on social media about, he's joined the Falcons. No, he hasn't. He's got a tryout. I don't think he's signed anything yet. But you know what? All fans aren't always going to know all the facts. Before we move on to your Blue Bombers here, because as you know, Winnipeg is our number 2 city for viewership. And for a point last summer was number 1. I heard this morning. You see the money's gone like ridiculous in the NFL for the players. And what an analyst said on Dan Patrick was, while it's gone up exponentially for the players, it's gone up way, way more for the owners. But guess what? I don't have a problem with that. I don't know why everybody hates the owners so much, Dave. Why do they hate the owners? They own the team. It's their right to make all the money. I don't get why fans hate the owners so much. I don't.
The truth be known is I'm in the restaurant business, and I've been in the restaurant business and in my whole career I've been amazing. So when you invest, you buy a restaurant, you invest in the building, you invest in equipment, you have to make a return on investment. So with National Football League, these teams aren't exactly cheap. Right. And yes, you try to get every dollar you can when you build a stadium, and you try to get every dollar you can. So exponentially, you need to make some money. So I do not begrudge anyone for making money. The players in the National Football League, they get paid very, very well. The coaches in the National Football League get paid very, very well. People around the team.
Yeah.
And I was just down in the Twin Cities. I was just down in Minneapolis, and I went over to Eagan, to the Minnesota Vikings training facility. And there are a lot of people. And all you have to do is grab a media guide or a program to realize how many people work for the team. And it's not frivolous positions. Oh. There's coaches. There's administrative people. There's therapists. There's doctors. There's everything. There's a lot going into these teams, and there's a lot of payroll. So you have to make some money. And yeah, like I believe the latest stat was with the latest NFL television and streaming contracts, you don't have to sell a ticket to make money. But you know what? And I just think about the fan experience. The fan experience when you go to a National Football League is amazing. Yeah,
unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, you got to pay a top dollar for a ticket. But if you go to US Bank Stadium, because that's basically my home NFL stadium, it's like the castle and the Wizard of Oz. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's first rate. It's like Disney World, where you drop a piece of popcorn in Disney World, and there's a guy in about 2 seconds sweeping it up with a little pooper scooper, right? And that's what the NFL stadium experience is like.
Yeah, they give value for what you're paying. There's no doubt. So I don't get it. It's like it's a crime to make money now. And I don't know from just the general public, I don't know why you hate the owners so much, because they give back actually so much in the NFL. But the biggest reason, I wanted to talk to you about Nathan Rourke, but I really wanted to talk about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. 2-6, Dave. It's a little late to say that it's early. You know what I'm saying? And they're 0-4 on the road. So how do you feel about the Blue struggling this year?
Well, just to get to 9-9, I think you have to go to 7-3 for the rest of the season to get to 500. Saturday's game, it was a case of basically Toronto. Do you want to win? Here you go. We'll give you the game. The defense, they did their job. Most of the offense did their job. When they talk about sometimes you just need that click, we didn't get that click on Saturday night. Again, some turnovers that cost, interception, which you really can't fault Zach Collaros for. I think he got tipped off by 2 Toronto Argonauts before he did it. That was the pick 6. The defense held the Toronto Argonauts to 6 points. Defense held them to 6 points. You should win the game when that happens. And it was just like the Blue Bombers beat themselves 100% in that game with missed field goals and untimely fumbles and turnovers and some second. Now you could maybe second guess a third and short attempt when you maybe could have taken the points, but that's what it is. It's called gambling, and every time you gamble, you don't always win.
4 consecutive Grey Cup appearances, 2 titles at the beginning of that. But is it over? Are the good times over, David? What do you think?
Calgary Stampeders won in 2001 with an 8-10 record, so it's not over. Not over till you're eliminated.
So you're not worried. Well, hey, listen, look at you, man. You're like a TV vet. You've wrapped it up and given me enough time to ask you about the Viking. And I think you see them without purple goggles, but I'm not totally sure. What I'm hearing is, hey, they're rebuilding. Let's just throw Sam Darnold in there, and we'll wait and groom J.J. McCarthy behind him. Is that the thing, that they're just throwing the season away? Or is it a rebuild or not?
Just before I answer that question, if you have the opportunity, and I know you probably have, is to watch Receivers on Netflix. Last year was quarterbacks, the Peyton Manning production. this year receivers, and it's absolutely tremendous. And of course, there's a well known Minnesota Viking in that one that covered the 2023 season. But I don't know. I mean, I think the Vikings still have a lot of tools to win some football games. And yeah, maybe you're going to bring along the rookie, and hopefully he's going to be the star of the future. But I don't ever want to hear rebuilding year. I think every year you just want to go out and you want to win the best you can. So, and there'll be some retooling. You'll see that happening during the season. But I don't think it's like a throwaway season.
Well, you said it yourself with the 8-10 Stamps winning the Grey Cup, and I know it's apples and oranges, but anything can happen. Nobody had the Houston Texans winning that division and doing what they did in the playoffs with a rookie quarterback that they had last year in C.J. Stroud. So the exact same thing could happen to many. That's what makes it fun. Okay, Dave, back to the real world. Thanks for talking some sports with us today and having fun with us.
Thanks, Rod.
Doctor, the sports doctor checking in from Bomberland.